Good morning.
It is.
The basis of my question this morning is with regards to living from the inside out and how to...
Which means, from our perspective, letting your primary awareness and attention be to your vibration. Because your vibration is the most inside part of you. It's the inside as it is gets. So you want to do insider trading, insider everything, insider everything.
How to kickstart that. We began a dialogue in Sedona, and it's one of the focus areas in my corporate world in transitioning, moving away from people orientated in a motivated environment, feeling that they have
you see, even in that, and we are appreciating it, and we'll hear more from you about it, but we just want to stick this in before the momentum gets too strong in that direction.
Okay.
Doesn't that very attention to their approach to life take you immediately outside of the inside?
It does. It does, and I wanted to purely frame it so we had that reference.
So let's frame it. I don't give a rip what anybody else is doing, because they're outside where I can't control what they're doing, and I want to be inside where I can control what I'm feeling.
Exactly.
So they can be motivating others and motivating themselves all they want. I'm looking for the insider thing of inspiration. Just laying a basis here. We're eager and willing to talk to you about it in whatever way you want to.
So exploring the clear contrast that exists between motivation versus inspiration, and being aware, focused on that inspired way of working, focused on the creative energy that flows forward from those moments of inspiration.
Well, as a basis of understanding the distinction that we like to make between motivation and inspiration, as you care about how you feel, and so you've deliberately reached for thoughts that feel good, so you're wobble free. Now, law of attraction responding to your point of attraction. Soon, other things that match the pure frequency that you've got going will begin to occur to you. This conversation is really about, if you've been listening to us for a while, and you heard us talking about upstream and downstream, you've heard us talking about the vortex, get in the vortex, get in the vortex, get in the vortex. And then we began talking about your point of attraction. For a while we called it the grid. Your point of attraction, where what's in the vortex, which is the vibrational version, comes in to your see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it version. In other words, that realization, such a good word, the realization where the idea, where the thought becomes a thing, or where the idea becomes something tangible. And we even want to call the idea itself more tangible than the idea that came before it. In other words, that movement, this is the discussion that all humans really want to have, even though you don't know you want to have it in this framework. You really do. How do things become manifest? How do things become real? How does it become my life experience instead of just an idea of something that I want? So there is this movement, there is this momentum from the vibration into the fuller realization of it. And that movement from the vibration into the fuller realization of it, we want to call inspiration. Because when you're tuned to the frequency of who you really are, then you're keen to the pieces that are coming to you. You're on the frequency of it. You don't have as many wild goose chases. It is a much more satisfying experience. Not only because it feels better as it unfolds, but it unfolds in a more dynamic way, you see. Where motivation is more like, I know what I want and I don't have it. And how am I going to get myself from this place that I don't want to be to this place that I do want to be? So my attention is upon what I don't want. So I'm going to make myself do this thing that I don't really want to do. So now I've given up the leverage of law of attraction's benefit. Let's say that more accurately. I've given up the leverage of alignment. Law of attraction is going to respond to whatever vibrational frequency you've got going on. I've given up the leverage of alignment, and I've exchanged it for the paltry, puny, weak action world, where I'm trying to convince someone. Have you ever tried to convince someone of something that you knew for sure would benefit them if they would just get it, only to discover that there are not enough words in the world or time in your life to make them get it under these conditions, because the vibrational frequencies are at such variance that they just can't hear you? And we say there's a leverage in alignment, because when you take the time to be inspired to guide them rather than motivated to guide them, your timing will be better and your words will hit home better, and you'll be happier, and you'll talk to them a lot less.
So the contrast of the goose chase
Yeah.
versus the ravaging of the goosebumps.
Yeah, really good.
It's
Excellent, really good comparison.
flowing effortlessly.
Yeah.
Effortlessly.
And it just becomes more and more and more. When you get tuned, and you're tuned to Source, but you're focused in your world, and Source is focused to what you are giving your attention to, and there's no disparity in the frequency between you and Source.
Asheville 2012, we spoke about the grid and
The grid
the way-
meaning your point of attraction. You're standing here offering a vibration, and that's the framework that will fill in with more details. That's sort of the vibrational structure that is you. That's why we were calling it a grid. Then it became a grime. No. And then a grind. Now we want it to feel more fluid and flexible to you. It is the atmosphere. It's the vibrational atmosphere that can best be described by your mood. Your mood is your vibrational atmosphere, which represents the degree to which you are now allowing yourself to be the receiver of everything that you've been asking for. It's like the open vibrational pathway.
it's the floodgates.
Yeah, yeah.
Taking that as the basis, and from my own experience, the intersection of desire and emotion, and
Let's call it an intersection between desire and belief, which equals the emotion. Because that's really what's intersecting. What's really intersecting is desire. Oh, let's change the words a little further still.
Okay.
It's the intersection between desire, which Source has embraced completely. So let's call it desire that Source has got. Let's call it knowing. Let's call it the thing that I did desire, and then I handed it off to Source, and Source knew it. So now it's the knowing that Source holds, and the belief that I hold. Let's call it that intersection, which equals the emotion that I feel.
you see the ravishing goosebumps come forth.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. That's awesome. So
Well, you chose a really good word, intersection. We like that. Intersection, the intersection, the intersection, the focus, the intersection. The intersection, the focus that I'm doing. What I'm doing with my mind in relationship with what Source is doing with my mind. How about that? That's an intersection. Because Source is with me always. Source knows who I am and what I want and where I am in relationship to it. So Source is thinking about this, and so am I. Am I in concert with Source? So am I inspired? Is it coming from the inside out? Or am I over here in defensiveness, damn you, Source?
So the next step of that is the recognition. It's bringing to the forefront the awareness, the signs, the signals, the circumstances, the events.
Well, those
the,
are-
the ravaging waves of goosebumps
So
that
let's-
flow up and down in the absolute knowing.
Yeah, but instead of calling those next steps, let's call them next results.
Next results.
Let's call them next manifestations. Let's call them next occurrences. Let's call that next what I allow to happen. Because when there's steps, you're motivating yourself. That is extra good. But when they are occurrences, when they are allowances, when I'm allowing it,
Right.
aligning it, let's call them alignments. Let's not really do that. But. So go back to what you were saying. So the next step, you said, but the next inspiration, the next logical
the perfect unfolding,
yeah,
then leads to, at least this is my own finding, so I'm only talking from personal experience, but the waves of goosebumps, the solid knowing, the ability to step back, the ability to allow.
So what's the wave of goosebump? Let's talk about what it is.
Yeah, please, because that's, it's happening there.
As that comes, can you feel that that's opening the passageway, opening the floodgate? In other words, that's source moving in to territory it has not been allowed so well before.
Seriously. We're rocking this morning. That is exactly it.
Could it be said, Ken? Could it be your realization of the jubilance of Source? You just got a whiff of how Source feels right now, and you translated it through your physical senses. It became physical. Let's stay here for a minute. It became physical. It's starting to manifest. The idea started its manifestation right now. My physical body, my see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it body is realizing the vibration of it because I was so on vibrational frequency point.
And the inception of that is the awareness that that is what is happening.
All right, let's stay there just for a minute. So it was happening, but I have practiced the frequency, I and my physical body of it, consistently enough that I realized it. I translated, I knew it, my perspective held it, my perspective knew it. I blended with Source just now. I became Source, which is what inspiration is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So translating those signs, those signals, the ravishing waves of goosebumps up and down the body, the knowing.
Could you call it momentum?
It's clearly.
So now what's happening to it? Because I've got a point of attraction going on. I have a point of attraction going on, and I realized it and I felt it. Now what's happening to that momentum? It's increasing. That's why it's becoming more and more and more and more and more and more.
I'll leave it there for the time being.
Not for long. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.